Just realised that we've not spoken to each other for 3 weeks, and apparently the only highlights of the last 3 weeks is my wife's bikini falling off and me pushing poo-poo into a tube. But I've had really dark days based on just flippant comments that people say. You'll see a lot of people go, oh, well, if you put yourself out there, you know, you've got to accept that people will say, you don't have to accept people being twats.
Yeah.
Just stop being twats. That is another thing, that you assume that because people are successful and rich, that they're immune to this stuff.
Yeah.
And people like Robin Williams are proof that mental health issues aren't being happy or sad, and they aren't solved by money.
I'll wake up some mornings and I won't want to get out of bed because I just don't want to do anything.
Hello, and welcome to the Mildly Controversial Podcast. This week's going to be a little bit different because we're going to take you on a journey into the heads of me and Baz, which is, maybe I'll call it that. I hadn't planned on doing that, but yeah, well, basically what's going to happen is we're going to have a quick catch-up, and then we're going to talk mental health. I was going to do this on Mental Health Week, but A, I was organised enough, and B, we had you and Thomas on that week. So,
we did.
Decided to leave it till this. So we'll get on to that. We're going to talk about mental health because Baz and I are both advocates of talking about mental health, being open, not afraid to talk about it. But we also realised that despite the fact we're very good friends, we've never spoken to each other about our mental health, which seems oxymoronic, Baz, so we're going to rectify that tonight. Not just moronic, like our normal podcast, oxymoronic.
And I'll drag it back to moronic, don't you worry about that.
So, yes. So we will have a moronic conversation about mental health and just being open and honest with each other, and hopefully it will resonate with some people. So before we kick off with that, Baz, we're going to have a catch-up between you and I because despite the fact in the world of podcasts, we've not been gone. This is the first one we're recording in about 3 weeks. So
it is, yeah.
Because I've been away on holiday, you've been working, and so yeah. And I was thinking about that as well. Like I say, in the world of podcasts, we haven't missed a week. In the world of podcasts, Baz, we haven't missed a week since August last year.
Yeah,
that's pretty good, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you appreciate that Baz and I have not missed a week since August last year. We did plan to do like seasons and stuff.
Yeah.
But then in the end, we were just like, I like talking to my mate, so we'll just carry on, shall we? So we didn't bother. So yeah, it's we've been going for ages. We're not a break. But yes, I was away. So I've not spoken to you for 3 weeks. So in the real world, we've not seen each other for a bit. So we'll have a bit of a catch-up, mate.
Well, yeah, can I start then? Because it's related to the podcast. I went on a live podcast at the weekend. So I went to Wembley Arena to see Peter Crouch, who does that Peter Crouch podcast at Crouch Fest.
Brilliant.
And obviously that's born around his podcast. It was like 5 hours of like podcasts and stuff that they do. And they've obviously got lots of history. They've only done 3 seasons, but there's lots of kind of catchphrases in there because they have Steve Sidwell on there now as one of the hosts, and everyone's got a catchphrase. So it was like puddings is massive. Right. Everywhere we go, people just shout that for like the best part of the whole way through. And yeah, people get dressed up and stuff like that. I think there was 10 to 12,000 people there to watch this podcast.
Jesus.
And it was crazy.
One day, Baz, one day, we'll have 10 to 12 people watching ours.
Yeah, they get 80 million. I think they've had 8 million listeners to their podcast so far. Hey, listen.
That's quite good.
If we get out there for 8,000 or 80,000, I'd be well happy with that.
We're well over 8,000, Baz.
Yes.
We're well over 8,000. Brilliant. So, so where was that? Was that in London?
Yes. So it was Wembley Arena, which is obviously a big venue to fill. It's a very drunken affair. But also, I'll tell you what's nice about it. It's one of those things. We met loads of other. It's very laddish, obviously.
Yeah.
We met loads of other lads there, and we made connections with some of those people because we were taking photographs and using for each other, and then you get chatting, and we've already sort of like got together with groups of lads and said, "Oh, we'll meet you here next year, and we'll meet you in the pub beforehand, and and do the whole thing together." But there's lots of dressing up. There's I doubt she's listening, but one of the references to the podcast is about Bude Tunnel. And there was a girl there who made an actual Bude Tunnel hat with lights in it.
That's
and
quite
I had to
special.
go and have a photograph with it because it was just amazing. So the effort people go to is incredible.
That is quite special.
It was a good night. I mean, I was heavily drunk. I made loads and loads of like Phil Carr-esque type videos as I was walking around, and I watched them back on Sunday. I was like, I can't ever put this.
You can't
together.
use any of them.
Well, I probably could, but people have seen me slurring on here, but the whole thing is just a massive slur fest. You go, it's amazing, and I've stopped people in interviews and said, "Great, isn't it? What do you think?" I've done all that kind of stuff, but it's never going to see the light of day. It's just a shame. Really.
Next time I see you, mate, on a little private screening, we'll get it on the big telly.
Well, I might edit it and send it to you just to see what you think, and you'll go, "No, don't put that out. You look like a right idiot."
Leave it, Baz. Leave it. Let it go.
It's not my thing. Right, what you got?
Yeah, well, obviously I've been on holiday.
Well, yes, as we mentioned this in the podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, we mentioned that I was going on holiday, and now I've been on holiday. A couple of things that when they happened, I thought I need to talk about that on the podcast. So that's kind of what I use this little catch-up thing for. So one of them was Emma and I went on a water slide together on one of those big inflatable things, there's like 2-person inflatable things. And it was one of those where it goes, you go down a big dip, and then it goes right up, almost vertical, and then back down again, and then into like, a foot deep of water or whatever, and then you get out. I got out, Emma was thrown out when it got to the bottom bit like that. So I kind of gracefully stood up out of this thing, turned round, to see Emma putting her chebs back in her bikini.
Okay.
So
this is the force of the water, I assume.
Yeah, it was. So she fell out of the inflatable thing at the end of the water slide, and Emma's not got the smallest chest. Well, let's paint their picture with words like that, and that's as euphemistic as I can be. And the bikini she was wearing was clearly not up to the job. I didn't notice this. I just turned around and saw her shuffling. That I didn't know because I was getting out and she was behind me. I just turned around and she was shuffling. But there was a big group of people who were almost pissing a kidney laughing that much. Because as Emma then told me, not only did her chebs come out of her bikini, but the bottoms went as well.
Oh, God. Okay.
So whilst I was gracefully standing up and dead proud of myself that I'd kind of, sometimes you can kind of surf the inflatable thing right to the end and just stand up and you go, oh, this is amazing. Look, I'm in that. I'm so good at this. I did that. And by the time I'd stood up and turned round, Emma had got herself back together again. But the people waiting to see whether we would give them our inflatable thing so they could have a go, got pretty much the full Monty from Emma. So, and to be fair, she was she was a bit embarrassed about it, but then it was just like, well, treat for the dads. Right, and a couple more things that look. I'm going to say this anyway. Look, if you're a bit squeamish, I'm sure there's a button on most podcasts you can like click and spin forward a little bit. Do that anyway. I had to have a few tests done before I went on holiday. So like blood test, piss test and stuff. Another one, he wanted a stool sample off me. All right. And I don't know if you've ever given a stool sample to the doctor.
I never have.
They give you something that is, it's kind of like a wide test tube.
Oh.
I think the diameter of it is no wider than 1.5 inches max.
Yeah.
Right? And they give you that, a Ziploc bag, and one of those wide lolly sticks that they put on your tongue when they say, they give you one of them as well. Right?
Okay.
No instructions. Just said, pop us a stool sample back. Like, all right. So I'm thinking, I fucking hell are going to do this. So this thing's like 1.5 inches in diameter. It's like, even if my poo-poo is going to be 1.5 inches diameter, that's a great shot to pop it straight in, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I'm thinking, this lolly stick's got to be something to do with it. So anyway, I Googled it.
Okay.
I Googled how do you collect a stool sample? And this was like, there was loads of different ones, right? One of which was get a yogurt tub, clean it out, obviously. Not yogurt, like yogurt or butter. So I had like a margarine tub, right? Clean it out, obviously. Otherwise, it's going to come back and say there's a huge amount of margarine in your stool.
Your cholesterol's really high.
You've got a fat, like your poo's 40% fat. We're not sure what's going on here. Anyway, so I did that, and you drop that in to the bowl of the toilet.
Yep.
Then you do your poo-poo. Then I don't know why I've gone 4-year-old with that, but I'm gonna continue with it as in such terms, Baz. I've committed to it. I've got to go through with it now. Anyway, so I've put this margarine tub boat in the bowl of the toilet, right? And then, cut a long story short, missed and capsized it. So,
yes, of course you would.
So I've had to try something else.
Did you weld a rudder to it? Yeah. Or a keel? That's what it is.
And then it was like, so in the end, I thought I'll just put layers and layers of toilet paper on my hand. Drop the log into the toilet paper.
This got very graphic.
But this is that I wanted to share. Kind of, like, how the fuck do you do this? So here's a little bit of advice for people. Try the margarine tub, but you might miss hit the side and capsize the thing. And once your stool's in the water, you can't use it.
Oh, really?
No, because there could be anything in there. Could be somebody else's stuff in there.
Yeah, true.
Could be somebody else's sample. Anyway, so dropped a log onto this bed of toilet paper in my hand, chopped it up using the I know we diced it like a fucking onion. Do you know what I mean? I just be like, I used my lolly stick, and then I'm just like, it doesn't matter how firm it is to begin with. Once you're kind of trying to like push it down into this 1.5 inch diameter tube with a lolly stick, it's it's not something I want to repeat.
This is how you soften butter to put it on toast, isn't it? You keep manipulating it.
Mate, it was just, I was dry retching through the whole process. It was absolutely horrendous. And then, right, so I've screwed the top onto it, right?
Okay.
And I've just got, like, the top third of this tube has got a stool sample in it. Because I've had to thumb it down, but not thumb it down. No, I didn't use my thumb. You know what I mean? I had to use my my lolly stick to kind of push it on. Anyway, no one's fucking listening now. Everyone's gone on to next week's now, Baz.
I disagree. I think people listening to this are going, at least I know what to do now if I've ever got to give us the... This is informative.
This is good advice. You know, we're moving on to mental health, but we're talking about other aspects of it. You shouldn't be embarrassed about stuff like this.
No,
that's good. Because remember when we had Sazzy Mills on, she was saying that prudishness kills. So it's not be prudish. Anyway, so I've done this and I thought, I can't take that into the doctors. I was like, what do you do? Just walk in and proudly plonk it on the reception desk. There's my turd. I mean, like, what do you do? So in the end, I thought, I'll put it in an envelope. Right?
Let's send it.
But no, I'm not going to post it. Because, see, the thing is, with the stool sample, it goes off. Oh. So you've got to do it and get it to the doctor quickly. So you can't do it on like a Friday and think, fuck it, I'll take it on Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want to do that. Like, you wouldn't be able to sleep knowing it was in the house, would you? But anyway, so...
It'd be in the fridge, surely.
So you've got it, yes. Next to the Nutella. That's not in the fridge. That's just the first thing that came into my head. Anyway, so yeah, I thought, I'm not going to just proudly drop this fucking test tube of my own shite on the... Sorry, poo-poo. On the reception desk. So I put it in an envelope, and I was going to put it down, and I kind of pushed it across the reception desk like it was a bribe.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I put it on the desk and I looked either way. and I slid it across like it was some kind of, like there was cash in it and it was a bribe.
It's either that or it's a robbery.
Yeah. And do you know what? I hope to God she didn't think it was a bribe for anything, because it's the worst one. Can you imagine opening that thinking there's cash in it, and your jackpot was my poo-poo? Anyway, so yeah, I did that, and I had blood tests as well. And the long story short, yeah, that's the end of the poo bit. The long story short is that I got a phone call just before I went on holiday, and he said, I wanted to ring you just so you didn't worry while you were on holiday. I was like, well, I won't go to until he told me that. And he said, we've checked your bloods, and your, quote unquote from my doctor, Baz, your kidneys and liver are working perfectly.
That's just what you want to hear, isn't it?
And I was like, are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure these are my results? Because there ain't a cat's chance in hell my liver and kidneys are working properly after the amount of abuse I've given it for 30-odd years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently they are.
You could have gone harder.
I know, yeah, exactly. But apparently my liver and kidneys are like the Navy SEALs of internal organs. They can take anything.
You're still a young man, though,
yeah.
So that's what it is.
But ironically, after finding out that they are working perfectly, I've gone off the booze for a bit now, so I'm still on my Guinness Zero.
Oh, you want to go get tested again and see if it's even better now?
Yeah, imagine if I go back after a month and they go, what have you been doing?
Yeah,
like, Jesus, well, maybe my liver and kidneys will go into shock.
Exactly.
They've had fuck all to do for a few weeks. They'll go on strike. Right, okay, so now we're caught up. We know exactly what we've been doing for the past 3 weeks. Saying that, I've just realised that we've not spoken to each other for 3 weeks, and apparently the only highlights of the last 3 weeks is my wife's bikini falling off and me pushing poo-poo into a tube. So other things have happened, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the only interesting things. They're the things I felt would be entertaining to listen to.
When we were at Crouchfest, I was with my friend Roger, who listens to the show, and he was saying how he really enjoyed the you and Thomas episode. Because I was a bit drunk, so I thought, do you know what, I'm gonna leave you a voice note to tell him how much we appreciated him. So me and Roger were there, and it basically goes along the lines of, hello, Ewan. We're at Crouchfest, but my friend Roger wanted to tell you how much he enjoyed the podcast, and it's just two drunken pricks going, oh, we love you, Ewan. And then he sent me a nice message afterwards going, oh, thanks very much. He probably went, oh, you annoying bastards, I wish I'd never given you a phone number.
So let's do it. Let's talk about mental health. Like I say, I wanted to talk about it when it was Mental Health Week, obviously because it was more relevant. But we couldn't do it then. So, like I said at the start, you and I are very keen to encourage people to talk about their mental health and their health in general. Even it is quite graphic description of pushing poo into a tube.
Yeah.
But also, a couple of weeks ago, I realised that we haven't spoken to each other in public or private about our mental health and what's going on and what's going on in our head. So I thought it would be a good idea for us to have that conversation now, and everyone can listen in because we're proponents of being open about mental health. So let's be open about mental health.
Indeed.
So the first one, I just wanted to. I don't know if we'll go into too much detail about it, but it's just. If people follow me on social media, they'll have noticed that I've not put much out on TikTok, Instagram, and all that. Because if you don't follow me, it's dad.dancer, by the way. I'll throw that one in.
So go follow him.
Yeah, dad.dancer on TikTok and dad.dancergram on Instagram.
If you want to aid, if you want to help Mike's mental health, follow him.
Absolutely, please. Yes. So my levels of putting out new material have diminished quite significantly over the past 6, maybe 12 months. And that's just because it's really, really weird, because creating for social media in lockdown helped my mental health no end. Okay? It gave me a purpose, gave me a reason to get up in the morning. When everyone's in lockdown, give me a reason to get up in the morning. I met new people like you and a load of the people that we've had on the podcast and things. So I met some amazing people. So loads and loads of positives. But it comes with once you get to a certain level, I'm not saying I'm this big fucking influencer or whatever, but once you get to a certain level, it becomes more, not like a job, but it becomes more of an obligation. You stop doing it for fun. You begin to put pressure on yourself if you don't create for a little while.
Yeah. And
then for me, if I don't create for a little while, I'm thinking I've got loads of these really good ideas, but I kind of lose confidence in myself. So I've got all these really good ideas, and I'll write them all down, and I'll script things, and I'll go, yeah, but that's shit. So I don't bother putting it out. And it's, it's kind of, so you've got that side of things. But you've also got the chasing the algorithm. So you become obsessed. You put your heart and soul into something, you spend ages creating something, you put it out, and it gets like 2,000 views, and you're just like, what's the fucking point? Why did I fucking bother? Do you know what I mean? And it's like you or I treat that, I take that personally, even though it's just a fucking computer and it's random at some points. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit, it didn't like that. I mean, this faceless fucking computer in like China is with related to TikTok, and it's not like that computer's gone, yeah, that's shit, mate.
Yeah,
I'm not putting that one out. It's got it can't push all your stuff all the time. It's got to share it out a bit, and logically, I know that makes sense, but the more stuff you put out there, if it doesn't fly, you just, oh, fucking hell, that's that. And then it becomes like, oh, is it worth it and things. And then the third aspect of the stress you put yourself under creating on social media is comments. And this is kind of a broader one, is that people see someone who's got a decent number of followers and just think, they're fair game, I can say what the fuck I want to them.
Yeah.
So almost like they stop being humans, and it's like they're not human anymore. They're a successful influencer, and the number of times when people slag people off on the internet, and that hurts, by the way. I mean, I want everybody to love all my stuff, which is completely unrealistic. Okay. You'll go through comments, and I've had viral videos that have had, I don't know, 20 odd million views, more than that. I can't even remember that.
It is more than that.
yeah. I mean, it's a ludicrous number, but and you'll get loads and loads of people. I'll be like, oh, really positive, really love what you do, and all. You might have 2 out of 1,000 comments that either go, I'm offended by that, or that's not funny, or something. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is about my head, but they are amplified 1,000 times more than all the positive stuff.
Well, I was going to say, it's one of those things, you're not alone, because like if I make a video and I get 300 really nice comments, it'll be those 2 that go, you're a fucking old man, stop trying to be a kid, or like, what are you playing at? And my comments these days are reasonably, they're okay, really, because it's just that thing about my age, and I can handle that because I am an old man, and fuck it, I don't give a shit. But it's that thing when it comes.
Sorry, boss. I won't post that again. I won't post that comment again. I didn't realise it upset you. I'm sorry.
No, you're the one on WhatsApp that I get those messages off. It's not even on they're private messages.
It's a WhatsApp, and it's not related to social media.
Well, and you sending me a postcard with written on is doubling down on that as well. But
I thought you'd like a postcard from Mike Baz.
Yeah, but it's the photograph you put in with you giving the double fingers, which is really nice.
Just stop dressing like a kid, you old prick.
Yeah, exactly.
Love and kisses. See you soon, Mike.
Yes. See you on Monday night at the podcast. I tend to make videos now where I'll go, someone's written this about me, and then you'll just get loads of comments going, oh, they're just jealous, which is the usual reaction.
Yeah. And
I use that now to sort of, me personally, to get over that, because I don't really, I used to get, some of the comments were like a while ago were quite hurtful.
Yeah.
And they're usually about your personal appearance, which is what anonymous people do.
Yes,
they have an anonymous profile, and they just say something about you physically, and I just got around to that point of kind of going, well, I mean, in fairness, I look at it this way. They got offered up my content without, because they're on a sort of an open platform, and the platform went, oh, you might like this, and obviously in some cases someone's not going to like it. A lot of people like you and I would just generally go, nah, not for me, and scroll by.
Yeah.
Or if I really don't want to see it, I'll block it.
Yeah.
There's a certain small sector of people that go on social media and go, do you know what, I don't like that, and I'm going to fucking tell them I don't like that.
But it's like you've gone around the house, knocked on the door, barged past them, and then took your top off, instead of just doing it on the internet.
But like, it's not enough for, generally, if it was okay, imagine if I saw something I didn't like and went, just thought I'd let you know, I don't really like your content, but you carry on doing it. It doesn't matter that I don't like it, because lots of other people do. If you wrote that, you generally go, that's fine, because people put on mine all the time, I don't like tight jeans on men. I'm like, that's fine. That's completely fine.
Mate, that's like going into Greg's, queuing up, waiting to get to the front, and they're going, I don't like pasties. Bye.
Yeah, but it would only really work though if like you were talking to like one of the sort of like higher up people who had like advocated sausage rolls being on their menu. Yeah. It's like, anyone be on the counter and go, all right, well, don't fucking buy one then, you numpty. Do you know what I mean? But you can't do that because you're the creator, right? Yeah. And particularly with what you do, because it's like, you do have to write down stuff, and like you do have to formulate. It was, I'll go and make something, and if it's shit and people don't like it, well, that's fine. It's over in 30 seconds. Yeah. Your stuff's like minutes long, and of course, people watch the whole of your video. Go, I've stayed around to the end just so I can call you a twat.
And do you know what? I am a twat. Yeah. But it still gets to me when people say I am.
But it's weird, isn't it?
But yeah, I think a lot of people, not to want to get too sanctimonious about it, but I mean, I've had really dark days based on got nothing major. You know what I mean? I'm not. We are talking about mental health, and I don't struggle with like depression or anything like that. But I've had really dark days based on just flippant comments that people say, and that's the thing. It's like, not to want to get too sanctimonious or like fucking the end of a Jerry Springer episode. Do you know what I mean? But people need to understand that just because someone's got 5 million followers or something like that, doesn't stop them being a human being. Doesn't stop. Just your comment on its own might mean nothing. Well, but if someone's got 5 million, let's use that number off the top of my head. Someone's got 5 million followers. You'll see a lot of people go, "Oh, well, if you put yourself out there, you've got to, you've got to accept that people also." You don't have to accept people being twats. Yeah. Just stop being twats, because you could put a comment on, and your comment might be the one that, is the straw that breaks the camel's back, or whatever the phrase is. Do you know what I mean? They might have be in a not great place mentally, and they've had a build up, and it might be your comment that makes the difference and tips people over the edge.
The problem is we all do it to some degree. It's like, if you're sat with someone in the car and something comes and you go, "Oh, that's shit," which is a bad review. Yeah. But then if you take it to the next thing, and I think it's different, like with say movies and music, like the thing that you did the other day, it's a kind of social thing, and that's going to go to millions of people anyway. But I think when it's aimed at you and your comments and it's personal, I know some people don't read comments. Lots of creators don't bother at some pages because they've got agencies and stuff like that. But most people do. So when you do get that one bad comment, and for some reason it just fucking stands out like a massive flashing beacon, doesn't it?
And I say, do you know what? You're right. I did that video on the Facebook page about, because I'm going to do like kind of on a regular basis. Yeah. I'm going to just do a little bit of, this is in the news. This is my opinion on it.
Yeah.
And that one at the time was the Beatles. People going apeshit and saying that Beatles track's amazing simply because of, and as I explained, I think the process of it is incredible. Yeah. But it's quite a shit track.
I really like it. I'm not even gonna lie.
I just think it's really dull.
But this is the beautiful thing about this, though, is that's subjectivity and like an opinion and taste in it at the end of the day. So,
but what I didn't do is I didn't go on Paul McCartney's social media and tell him that.
There you go.
I didn't go down to his house. Yes. I didn't follow him to the recording studio. I didn't send him a parcel with a tube of my feces in it.
Oh, hang on a minute. You said you put it in an envelope.
I have got the technique, mate. I know how to do it now. But no, do you know what I mean? I expressed my opinion. I reviewed it.
Yes. Yeah. I know, but also, let's be clear, we make content on here, which is, we say things on here, which are, let's be clear, we do say some stuff just to rub people up slightly, and we use it to mildly rub them up. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure that Paul McCartney's, like, even if he ever hears it, would just go, well, I don't give a shit anyway, because there's money in my bank.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look, it's my comments about Paul McCartney's, I nearly fell into the trap there that a lot of people do. I nearly fell into the trap and said, Paul McCartney won't give a shit about my opinion because he'll be rolling around in his money room like Cyril Sneer, right?
Yes.
But that is another thing that you assume that because people are successful and rich, that they're immune to this stuff.
Yeah.
And people like Robin Williams are proof that mental health issues aren't being happy or sad, and they aren't solved by money, and they aren't things. So I've just kind of pulled, I've made the joke that I wanted to make, but then also kind of pulled myself up on it at the same time, because that is a common assumption, and it works not even at Paul McCartney's level. People who are consumers of social media rather than creators might look at that and go, well, what have you got to be sad about? You got loads of followers. The same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, of course,
But yeah, so there are loads of things. Like I say, there are loads of positives for mine and people's mental health that have come through social media, but there are also things that are there. And to be honest, it's not manifesting itself in me having blue days because people are commenting things. That kind of thing's not happening at the moment because I'm not creating too much, to be perfectly honest. But the fact I'm not creating, the lack of enthusiasm and the lack of motivation to create has come from a kind of it chipping away at me and just chipping away. And where I've got to the point now, I'm just going, I can't be arsed.
Are you able to kind of articulate that? Because I think it's one of those weird things. It's like, I would never describe myself as having depression, but how would I know? Because it's not something that's it has. You can't pick up a book and this is what it feels like. Because obviously it's different for everybody. But so, what's your worst days? Is it like you say lack of views? Is it?
It's
mine. For me personally, it's like not being able to get out of bed and I'll just stay in bed. Yeah, because I don't want to go and face and and then I just can't physically go and do stuff. I generally get that, and that's me saying I don't get depressed. But I have these moments where I just like can't be bothered today.
Yeah,
I'm just not doing it.
To be honest, I rarely get like I don't want to get out of bed. I can't get out, but I quite often, let's say quite often. Some days I just have what I just call blue days, and I just like I don't feel my normal self. I don't feel outgoing, and I don't feel in a mood to create things, and that would normally just manifest itself into me sitting around and just fucking wasting a whole day cocking around on games on my phone or social media or watching telly and not getting anything done that is productive in any way.
So you and I have exactly the same kind of thing going on, because I'm the same. Then what happens with me is I get this massive guilt of going, I had a whole day today where I could have done loads of things, but you know what I've done? I've cocked about on my phone all day. I played Call of Duty for 6 hours and when I could have been making all sorts of stuff. That's
exactly the same.
That's the bounce phrase, isn't it? The bounce phase where you kind of go, now I feel shit because I haven't done anything.
Exactly. So you beat yourself up for it. So so you're in this thing because you're not feeling great about yourself, and then you beat yourself up at the end of the day for doing it in the first place.
Once stuff becomes almost work-like to to people like you and I, as it turns out, it sort of loses its shine, doesn't it? So when it was like lots of validations, it's free and you're getting loads of people, oh, your work's brilliant, and then suddenly it becomes like a chore. You're like, oh, I'm not going to fucking bother anymore.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's where the fun went for me, was because it was kind of like, I mean, I've said this before, it was like, as a creator of like skits and comedy and all that kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, you were funny today, be funny again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
It's like you kind of run out of ideas, like, you know what I mean?
I was working with an Irish lady this week, and she tuned in especially to listen to the podcast about you describing Ireland. And she said it was fucking brilliant and absolutely spot on. This is kind of going on to the thing about so the stuff that we do and you do does reach people. It's just that, like, unless you get that feedback, it's really hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's nice to hear feedback that stuff you get, but also, like you say, the other end of the scale is someone's going, "That was shit. Don't do it again, you fucking wanker." You're like, oh, okay, right, thanks. And you keep looking.
Well, I've told my mum not to give us any more feedback after she said that.
How do you lead into comments?
I tend to reply to loads of comments.
Yeah.
To be honest, so I just think it's a polite thing to do.
even if they've called you a twat.
Yeah. But look, to be honest, I very rarely get negative comments. Because my content's fucking fabulous.
Yes. But it is mildly controversial.
Yeah, it is.
And let's face it, let's be clear, let's go back to when your stuff was featured on Facebook and someone went to find your account to call you a cunt.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yes,
that's going out of the way, isn't it?
That was that was one. To be honest, that didn't get to me because and here's the thing.
We laughed about it, didn't we? So,
well, here's the thing with that is that if somebody had just if somebody said, "Oh, that's quite hurtful," or "You've upset me," or something like that, and it's like 2-3 words, that will get to me more than that particular one, Baz. Somebody had gone to such extreme lengths, it was comical.
Yes,
and I couldn't take it anything other than comical because they'd seen. It was the ones where I was doing things to deliberately irritate people. So if people haven't seen them, I was slicing a cake in a weird way, or I was opening a packet of crisps from the bottom. I was biting into a Kit Kat instead of snapping it. And
the most irritating one is you'd line up loads of Skittles or something like that, and then the last one you just completely fucking moved to somewhere completely different.
Yeah, exactly. So those kind of things. And somebody had seen that on because Lad Bible sent out pulled together a compilation of it and put it out there. And that video's still out there somewhere, and it's had something like 70 million views. So you're welcome, Lad Bible, because I've made them, and that's probably made them about 100 grand.
Yeah.
But somebody saw that and knew that they couldn't contact me any other way than sending me a message through Instagram. So they saw it on Facebook. They went or TikTok, one or the other.
Yeah.
But at the time you couldn't message people you didn't know through TikTok. So they then found my Instagram to then go to my Instagram direct messages and send me a message saying, "You're an absolute cunt." and I just thought, do you know what? I can't. That did not even upset me in the slightest, because I just think I almost admired the effort that was made to go so far just to call somebody a cunt. It was almost impressive.
And clearly you've been called a cunt before, so you're used to it, right?
I'm not fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. Like I say, with me, it's ones that we've spoken about this before, and I won't go into too much detail, just on the off chance that he's listening, but I did one comedy skit that was on a certain subject, which I won't say, but it was lighthearted. It was kind of, I was taking the piss out of myself and taking the piss out of people's attitudes towards something, but it was taken in the wrong way, and it upset somebody who is an actual friend of mine in real life, and that really got to me. I didn't sleep for like 3 days, and we had this to and from on WhatsApp. And he was saying, That's out of order. That's really offensive. Take it down. And I was just kind of like, fuck, I don't want to upset my mate. So I want to do what he wants me to do. So I want to take it down because he says take it down.
Yeah.
But then I looked at it and it had something like, I don't know.
It was a lot.
2,500 comments.
Yeah.
Or 4,000 comments or something like that. And 99% of people were saying it was brilliant and really funny. And they got the idea behind the joke. So, I toyed with the idea. I really, really thought about taking it down because he wanted me to take it down. But then I was like, well, does he get to curate all my content?
There you go.
Do I have to send him my stuff before I post it? And if it's not him, is it somebody else? Do I have to send my stuff to all my friends?
Yeah.
And if I send it to 100 friends, if one of them doesn't like it, I don't post it. It's a really, really difficult thing to get. But that's the one thing that really that affected me mentally more than anything else I've ever done on social media, because it's somebody that I care about, and I care about their feelings, and I'd hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really difficult kind of situation to be in.
Yeah.
Offsetting the fact I'd upset somebody.
Yeah.
That whose feelings I care about, and not just some random off the internet. But also, I found it really difficult to pull something that loads of other people had enjoyed.
Yeah.
And like I say, for me, it felt like the thin end of a wedge. It was like, well, I've got to just put stuff out there that I think is funny.
Yeah.
I've got to be in charge of the curation of my content. It hurts me that I've hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
But I have to put that in context of all the other people whose days I might have brightened. They might be going through a really shit time.
Yeah.
And they've seen that, thought it was funny, and it's lifted them a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So I've got to kind of balance that in my head, which is quite tough at times.
Well, I look at a lot of stuff that gets said on, because I read comments and stuff, on videos that I think are really popular. And I also read comments on stuff that I know is going to have troll comments in there. And we've discussed this on the podcast before, but I was a troll at some point.
Oh.
And but I was always one of those people that would try to be that kind of more of a heckler than someone that was trying to upset somebody.
Oh.
But there is a point at which I think people kind of go past it. Because I remember the first time that before I realised what trolling was, when someone trolled me in the comments. And I genuinely was like, oh, I'm about to have an argument with someone online now. That's and yet we're either side of a keyboard, possibly thousands of miles apart, and yet you still kind of go, oh, I don't really want to get into that, because if I say something hurtfful, that could upset them, and then they say something to you which genuinely for the first time you kind of go, oh, someone's just insulted me for for having an opinion. And when you realise there is that that anonymity that people post behind, I think once you get to that point and look at it and go, they're just doing it because they are anonymous, and they are, some people might say in front of you, which would be even funnier, and obviously, props to those people, but it's those people that do it knowing full well that they'll get a bite off somebody. And I think the worst thing is they'll do it to people that aren't used to, that kind of environment where people, your immediate reaction should be, I'll ignore that and go to the comment which says, oh, Baz, you're amazing. Read all those and be validated by it. But you keep going back to the one where it goes, Baz, you're a cunt.
Yeah.
And you keep looking at those and it really gets
sorry,
you.
Baz.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm just reading the one you just sent me.
But it's interesting, we said about arguments and stuff. And I think that's why our podcast is deliberately called the Mildly Controversial Podcast, because we don't talk religion, we don't talk politics, because I don't want to get into that, because I don't like arguing with people. I don't like upsetting people, and religion and politics will upset people. There's loads of stuff I would like to say about certain situations going on in this world, but I won't say anything on the internet about them, because I'm fucking terrified of getting into this argument with people, upsetting people or angering people and things. And that's why this podcast is called the Mildly Controversial Podcast, because we whine about shit that doesn't really matter, so we can go over the top with our opinions on something, because ultimately it's about a fucking biscuit or something. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's like if you listen to this podcast back in 5 years' time, you wouldn't realise some of the stuff that was going on in real life, like the cost of living crisis, Gaza, and hopefully people will go back to this in 5 years' time going, oh, you didn't speak about any of that stuff, because it does genuinely get into that thing where there's some pretty dark stuff in the real world.
Yeah.
Talking about fucking Wensleydale's and shit cheese is quite light-hearted, but you're still going to upset somebody, aren't you, who likes Wensleydale cheese? But
you know what? They won't be that upset, and I think it's like you say, the point of this podcast is not to upset anyone. So, people who are into really controversial stuff will think we're pussies, right?
Yeah,
and they're absolutely right. Because we just want to brighten people's day, have a bit of a laugh, and not upset anyone.
Yeah.
So, look, if we upset you about... If anybody saw my review of the Beatles track and was genuinely upset about it, I honestly don't give a fuck. Yeah. And the reason for that is because it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? If we talked about politics and religion and people got upset about that, I would give a fuck, because they're really big, important things. They're big, divisive things. If you don't like the fact that I don't like the Beatles track, I'll give a shit. And it's easy to not give a shit.
well, I even wrote in our own comments, this is mildly controversial, I like it, and then fucked off straight away, because I thought, that's mildly controversial, right?
I'm going to reply to that with, shut up, Baz, you cunt.
You quite often pop in the comments and diss me when I put stuff in there anyway. And I'm just like, Mike's upset me again. There's nothing I can do about it. Because he'll just delete my comment.
You sound like a bully. Baz hates this podcast. He doesn't like being on here. I force him to. I bully him into it.
Yeah. What I do is I log on and I sit here and I go, oh no, I hate being here because Mike's a bully.
You were mentioning before about... the manifestation of you having a bad day is kind of lack of motivation, kind of getting fuck all done, beating yourself up about it.
Yeah.
And we mentioned before we wanted to talk about SAD because that's something that you go through. Talk a bit more about, briefly talk about what SAD is, because some people might not know.
Yeah.
And then about kind of what that means at this time of the year for you versus, times when it's not such a factor.
Well, as you said earlier, so just to make sure, say probably seasonal affective disorder, SAD. Yeah. So I don't look at it. I've never read everything about it, but from what I know about it, it's as the days get shorter and as the days are now more in darkness and there's less sun. There's a syndrome which is about people that suffer from not having either the time in daylight or sun on their back, because obviously sun is one of those things that affects your melanin, which affects your mood and stuff like that. And I, for years and years and years, when I get into the months with the burrs on the end of it, so October, November, December, September even, started to feel always a little bit more like less buoyant and certainly less kind of inclined to go and spend time with people, and then I found out that SAD was a thing and that you could do stuff about it, but I'm always sort of mentally prepared for it now. During the winter months I start to feel really tired during the afternoon, and that's the point where that's the most like the day, but I'll quite often have a nap or just literally fall asleep if I'm not doing anything active at this time of year. But I get to the point where I'll wake up some mornings and I won't want to get out of bed because I just don't want to do anything. And sometimes, like, do you get that point sometimes where you get up I'll get up sometimes at midday and I've just been pissing around on my phone or just been answering emails, which is the greatest thing ever, isn't it? If you have a business, you can answer emails on your phone, which is one email where I've just gone, I'll speak to you next Tuesday. And I quite often bump work as well. Like if someone says, "Oh, can I meet you on Monday?" I'm like, "No, I don't work Mondays," because I know that mentally on a Monday I'm just like I'm already zoned out. I'm still in Sunday, and I don't want to get to Monday. And then as you get deeper into winter, then Tuesday's out as well. So Wednesday becomes the only day that I can actually actively do anything, because it's taken me 2 days to kind of like bolster my own kind of mental health to go, I'll come and do stuff with you. Yeah, I've got some friends that are like that struggle with their mental health, or they've got some things going on in their life, and I always say, look, I've got capacity for me to talk to you about what you're going through, because I don't really have a lot of other things going on. And it isn't until you get to this time of year where you kind of go, it's not that I feel depressed, because I don't really know what that means, but I just feel less inclined to be outward going and talk to people about their problems. But I think if you offer that thing where, come and talk to me, because I'll listen to your problems. There are a few times you kind of go, I don't really feel like that now, but I think me doing that probably helps me just to sort of like perk up a little bit and, and actually do something other than just stay in bed all day and kill bad guys in Call of Duty. I'm friends with a large group of people in it. Everyone's heard of memes. There's lots of meme groups on Facebook, and I'm part of one of those, and it's called You Laugh, You Lose, and there's lots of 30-year-olds and now 35, near 40-year-olds, and it's quite a good group of people because they're really good friends. But sadly, one of the group members within the last year or just outside of that, he posted his own suicide note on Facebook.
Jesus.
Yeah, he did. I'll mention him by name because I'd like to sort of mention him. There's a guy called Sean Smith. I'd met him a few times. Lovely, friendly guy, but had always said that he had sort of like quite like dark demons or all those dark thoughts. And this is quite dark for anyone who doesn't want to listen. But he posted his own kind of like, this is the day that I can't take it anymore on a Facebook post, and then lots of people weighed in and sort of were like, where are you, Sean? Tried to sort of reach all day, and then the sad news reached everybody in the evening that he'd taken his own life. And you look at that and you kind of go, this is where I find myself lucky that I've got the kind of capacity to not be in that place. If I had demons, that I would either be able to go and talk to somebody, but I find it kind of fascinating to think how the difference in our your brain works. It tells you that today is the day that I can't take this internal suffering or the feeling that I have every day that I shouldn't be here, and then just go and actively do that, because I think there's different methods around it. Some people go and speak to somebody can, I want to bring that thing up as well. Men of a certain age, or people of a certain age, not just men, culturally have been told over the years, just pull yourself together. And I think we're in that group of people where our parents would have said, just pull yourself together, where I think now there's more help on offer. And I think, that day when he did take his own life it brought it home to me, the fact that some people just feel there isn't anyone you can talk to that's going to offer you any hope, and then you're just going to go and the pain is too much that you can't live with it anymore. I remember that day of thinking of how bad you must feel, or or how either tired you must be of feeling like that, or that you can't sort of feel there's any kind of where you can resolve how you feel, that it's actually the way out is to sort of end your own life, and that must be the ultimate part of depression. I'm saying that, not understanding what depression is fully, but that would be my take on it. The fact that it must be so kind of crushing or all-encompassing or painful or whatever the term I'm after, that you have to go and take your own life. And that would be, for me, I don't know if I ever would reach a point where I wouldn't just go like you or any number of other people that I'd go and speak to. And I always encourage people to say, don't worry about how many, if I came to you and told you the same story 10 times about how sad I was about something, I think you're a good enough friend that would just go, that's fine, just tell me over and over again, I'm never going to get bored of it. But I think sometimes the person that's in the position feels they're boring people with their problems, or they can't talk about it now because they've spoken about it enough times, or people aren't interested anymore. And I'd say on this podcast right now, people will listen to your story over and over again if it meant you didn't take in your own life.
If anyone is listening who's anywhere close to anything like that, it sounds like a cliche, but just talk to people. Do you know what I mean? Approach people, talk to people, do something. And that sounds really flippant, and it sounds like people who get to that point haven't sought help or haven't reached out to people. But I can't think of a way of doing this without sounding real fucking preachy and things like that, but I don't care.
It's your podcast, do what the fuck you like.
Exactly. But if anybody is struggling, then please, God, seek help. And if anybody listening to this now is struggling, then get in touch with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anything, you know what I mean? And if anything we've said, if anyone doesn't know where to turn and wants to talk to somebody or wants to contact somebody who is outside of their inner circle, because quite often it can be difficult to talk to people you care about. So
strangers can be the best people to talk to sometimes, can't they?
So if anybody wants to contact somebody they don't care about, then contact me or Baz.
Yeah.
And not promising we can do anything, but if you just need to vent or you need an outlet, contact somebody, contact anybody. We've talked about some kind of in a light-hearted way, and we've talked about some quite dark things, but I think the point of tonight was to talk.
Yeah.
And so keeping that theme going, if you do need to talk to people, then, there are professionals, obviously, that can help. Samaritans and people like that, but also if you just kind of want to reach out to somebody, or you feel like you need somebody to reach out to, and you're uncomfortable reaching out to people who you think are close to you and might judge you, then yeah, if messaging two bearded twats on the internet who you don't know can help you, then please do that. There's no bombshell this week.
Yeah,
it's quite a somber way to finish.
Well, I was going to say, just before you do actually rap,
yes,
the one
I'm not going to rap. No, that would be quite inappropriate at this point. If I rapped that last bit, that would be quite. I mean,
you'd be cool as fuck. No, the one thing I'd just say to reiterate what you just said is, like, there is a whole point of, like, if someone does offer you the ability to talk to them, people don't have the answers all the time. Sometimes it's just nice to be able to talk to somebody. And when you feel that you've run out of your friends and your closest friends and you feel you bored them, go and talk to other people.
Yes.
Because, like, we're in a world now where, myself and Mike are within a sort of age range where mental health was never a phrase like 10, 20 years ago. Like, we spoke at the start of the program about saying, people used to say, pull yourself together. You don't have to do that now. You can go and talk to somebody, and there are loads of services where you talk to strangers. Like, message somebody, but don't feel that you're on your own, because, like, there's always somebody at the end of a phone or the end of a message or whatever. Anyway, I'm so pleased you brought this subject up tonight, because it's one of the things we've never spoken about before.
It is, yeah. And look, I make no apologies for the fact that this section of the podcast isn't as funny as it usually is, because if we decided to do talk about mental health and then just take the piss out of it, that wouldn't make any sense.
It's quite funny watching you try to rap, because it's usually quite easy.
I know, yeah. And so all I'm going to say is, on that bombshell! It doesn't. There's no fucking context behind it. It doesn't fit in. But that's the only way out of this that I can see. Anyway, hope everybody is doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in again. Thank you to everybody for all the support that you've given us, because much as we've been talking about the fact that sometimes social media gets us down, this podcast does so much for my mental health, just because there are days when, like we've mentioned before, where I feel like doing fucking nothing. And I know, Baz, you've mentioned it before to me.
Yeah.
That there'll be days where I want to opt out of society and just fucking let the day go by and start again tomorrow. But I'll have a recording of this podcast scheduled for later with Baz. And so far, Baz, I've never regretted doing a podcast with you. I've never got over done. Yeah, that was even fucking worse. Do you know what I mean? So I have to thank the people for listening, because if people didn't listen, we possibly wouldn't do. Well, we would do this, but we'd just do it on FaceTime instead.
We're arrogant enough to keep doing it, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares if people are listening or not? We're amazing. Just people haven't found us yet.
I'm listening. That's all that matters.
We're our best listeners, Baz. But yeah, thanks everyone for the support. We really, really appreciate it. And like I say, but we love doing this. And do you know what? If you are still listening now, Send us a comment, give us a review, give us some feedback, because not particularly on this episode, just in general on the podcast, because much as we mentioned before that negative comments on the internet can really kind of get you down, I love nothing more than people sending us messages, be it through the Facebook page at facebook.com/mildlypod or email at mildlypodcast@gmail.com. I love nothing more than people contacting us and saying, I was having a shit day and it was a lifting, you lifted my mood, you really cheered me up. And I'm not talking about people who are, struggling with mental health in that instance. It could be something as, forgive me, I forget the name of the person it was, but somebody just said, like, you get me through the ironing. Do you know what I mean? I hate doing the fucking chores, but listening to you really cheers me up. We absolutely love hearing stuff like that. So if you are still listening, God bless you. Thanks very much. Send us a message and give us some feedback and let us know how much you love us. Because we're very, very needy men. As I said before, thanks so much for supporting what we do. Thanks so much for cheering two old men up when they need it. And we will speak to you. Oh, no, we won't. And we will see you next time. We won't even see him. And
this is a long way out of this one.
I know, yeah. It's fucking hell.
What do we do with it, Mike?
I don't know. How do you end this if there's no bombshell? And on that bombshell now. So we'll see you next time, people. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks for doing everything you do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Don't forget to tune in next week where we'll be back to having lots more fun.
Yes, that's it.
Right. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and goodbye.